Hi friends, Miss Kristi here, and I am so excited to be together again cooking in the kitchen. Today we are learning how to make ham and cheese sliders. These mini sandwiches have just 5 ingredients. They only cook in the oven for 5 minutes, and we end up with a warm, perfectly sized small meal or snack. We're gonna have fun making this together today, and I'm so glad you're here. Now, the first step to cooking and working in the kitchen is to wash our hands. While I wash my hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds, let's go over the ingredients and supplies that you'll need to gather to cook along today. The ingredients you need are 4 small dinner rolls, 4 slices of deli ham, 1 slice of cheddar cheese, 4 pickle chips, and 4 teaspoons of yellow mustard. The supplies you'll need are a cutting board, a baking sheet, oven mitts for safety, a butter knife, 1 teaspoon, a fork, and parchment paper, which is optional. Okay, great. My hands are clean and your hands are clean. We've gathered our ingredients and supplies, so let's get started making our ham and cheese sliders. The very first step for this small meal or snack is to preheat our oven to 400 degrees. They'll only cook in there for 5 minutes, but while we're putting them together, we need our oven to preheat. So I'm gonna preheat my oven to 400 degrees. Okay, great. While the oven's preheating, like I said, let's put our ham and cheese sliders together. So I said that the parchment paper was optional. As always, it just makes it a little bit easier to cook on a baking sheet. So I'm actually gonna take my parchment paper, if you are using yours, place it right in front of you, and I'm gonna assemble them right on here so I can just pick them up and put them on the baking sheet when we're done. This makes 4 small sliders. So the first thing you're gonna do is grab your small dinner rolls. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are like the Hawaiian rolls. You don't have to use this certain type if you have a small roll or a small biscuit even. Any type of bread that you like. They're sliders because they're mini, so that's the type of bread that we're looking for. I need to cut these in half because they're not pre-sliced. So I have my 4 little rolls in front of me. I'm gonna take my butter knife and I'm just gonna carefully cut them right down the middle, so that we have a bottom and we have a top. I'm just gonna leave the top sitting next to it. This is why we have a cutting board today. So we're using our cutting board. I put my parchment paper on top of it. And now I'm just carefully, patiently cutting through all 4 little rolls. If you go too quick, you'll rip your bread, which isn't the end of the world. So if you do, no worries. You can still use it. But I'm just going slowly, and I want the bottoms right in front of me, and then we can put the tops off to the side. You can see the tops have a more rounded and the bottoms are flat. So that's how I know they're the bottoms. So next step is to grab your mustard. Now I'm using yellow mustard. If you don't like yellow mustard, or if you don't like mustard at all, you don't have to use it. It helps the ingredients stick to the bread a little bit better, and it gives it that added flavor. If you're not a fan of mustard, no worries. You can actually just not use mustard. So those are the decisions that you get to make when you cook for yourself in the kitchen. So since I'm using mustard, I'm gonna grab my teaspoon that we talked about in the supply list and my mustard. And we just need 1 teaspoon on each of our bottoms of our bread. So I'm just gonna scoop it in or squeeze it out of your bottle and just tap it on. 1 teaspoon on each of the 4 bottoms of our bread. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's just mustard. You don't even have to measure it if you don't want to. If you're comfortable with how much mustard you know you like, go ahead and just squeeze it on. I like to measure things to make sure I know exactly how much I need, which is why I'm measuring my mustard. Once you are done with that, you can set it to the side. We won't need either of those again. Take your butter knife and just now we're gonna carefully spread out our mustard. Best you can. If you get a little excited about spreading it out and it goes over the sides, again, that's not to worry. It doesn't have to look perfect. It just needs some mustard on the bottom and it's gonna taste good either way. All right, once you're done spreading out your mustard, you can put your knife aside. We are done with that as well. The next step is going to be to put our ham on. So we need 4 slices of deli ham, which is what I have here. And I just wanna show you how I fold it to make it fit on the little sandwiches. So all I'm gonna do is take 1 slice, it's my top slice, I'm gonna fold it in half. So I fold it long ways and then I'm just gonna fold it in half the other way. And it ends up with a little triangle that I then am just going to set on one of the bottoms. So we're just putting this on top of the mustard, we're gonna layer this. So same thing, I'm gonna fold it in half, kind of like a hot dog, and then I'm gonna fold it in half one more time to make a little triangle. Place it on, do it again, fold it in half like a hot dog, fold it in half the other way, make a little triangle, and then you can just put it on the best way it fits. It's a triangle going on top of basically a square, so it's not gonna be perfect. Just however you can get it to fit on there, that is the goal. Last piece of ham goes right on. So I'm only putting stuff on the bottom. Sorry, the tops are still off to the side and we'll just put them on the top at the end. Everything else is kind of being stacked on top of each of itself. Whew. All right, next step is going to be our pickles. So I have pickle chips here. So these are like the flat pickles that you would put on a sandwich. If you have like a regular pickle, which is round and it's gonna roll off. So if you're gonna use pickles in this snack, I do advise using a pickle chip. If you don't like pickles, definitely don't put them on your sandwich. That's up to you. But I'm gonna use pickles today. So grab your pickles if you're using them and your fork. The fork is just to take the pickles out of the jar. If you wanna use your fingers and your fingers are clean and they're your pickles, go for it. I'm just gonna use a fork to find a pickle, lay it right on top of your ham. And I'm trying to find bigger pickles just to take up more space. But really, whatever pickle you wanna use, it doesn't really matter. As long as we get a pickle sitting on our ham. All right, so pickles go on. Done with the fork, that's all I needed it for. You can put that aside. Done with the pickles. I'm gonna set those aside. Now our last thing before we put the tops on is our cheese. And we have 1 slice of cheddar cheese here. We need to get 4 pieces from it. So all I'm gonna do is fold it in half. Okay, and it kind of breaks apart because it's cheese, it's not very hard. So now I have 2 halves. And then I'm just gonna fold it in half one more time and then put this on 2 of our little sandwiches. Same thing with this last piece, just fold it in half, end up with 2, put it right on top of our pickle. Now, if you like more cheese, you could do a second slice of cheese and just put two slices on each slider. Totally your call. Again, when you cook for yourself, you can make those choices. So if you try it once and you want it to be a bit more cheesy, go ahead and add another slice. You can learn through trial and error what you like. All right, from here, I'm just taking my tops and putting them on top of the cheese. The cheese is gonna help that top bun stay because we don't have mustard on here, but the cheese will start to melt and it will hold that top bun in place. And that's it. That's how we assembled our mini sliders. Now these need to cook for 5 minutes in the oven. That's it. The bread is already cooked, obviously, so we're really just warming up the ham, melting the cheese, and it only takes about 5 minutes at 400 degrees. So I'm going to carefully slide these onto my baking sheet. Okay. Put them, so however, if you use parchment paper, slide them on. If not, place each one onto your baking sheet. I'm just gonna smush them down just a little bit, just to help them start to stick together. And now I'm gonna put it in the oven and I'm going to set a 5-minute timer. Like I said, that's all it needs. So I'm setting my 5-minute timer. As soon as it goes off, we will talk about putting our oven mitts on and getting them out safely. All right, friends, our 5-minute timer just went off. So now we just need to take them out of the oven carefully and set them on a protected surface to cool for 2 minutes. That's really all we need. We're just trying to let the pan cool down before we start taking them off. So we need to turn off our oven, put our oven mitts on for safety, and carefully take them out. Let the pan sit for 2 minutes, and then we will get them on a plate. All right, friends, so I have let these cool for about 2 minutes. Again, it's just so the pan is not hot to touch. So now I'm just gonna take a plate and carefully grab our ham and cheese sliders. This is exciting. Onto our plate. And you can see that the top of the bun got a little kind of hard, crispy, and our cheese is melted. It's sticking to my pickles. And it just tastes good. With just 5 minutes and 5 ingredients, we can now make ourselves this warm, small meal or snack. So I do hope you try and make it, or try and make it again. And when you do, let me know how it goes. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. I love getting to hear from you. You can even send me a picture of how your ham and cheese sliders turned out. I'd love to get to see your creation, and maybe we can share them next week. Now, speaking of next week, on next week's episode, which is episode 35, we are learning how to make homemade vanilla ice cream. With just 3 ingredients plus a little salt and ice, we can make ourselves homemade ice cream that turns out cold and creamy in just 6 minutes. In order to cook along and make homemade vanilla ice cream, these are the ingredients that you'll need to have in your kitchen for next week. 1 cup of half and half, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and then 1/4 cup of salt, and 5 cups of ice. Well, friends, our time together today is almost over. I do hope you've enjoyed learning how to make these ham and cheese sliders. I know I had fun, and I already can't wait to cook together again next time. But before you say goodbye to this episode, make sure to click subscribe if you haven't already. You just have to click the little picture of me in the corner. That way you don't miss next week's episode. It'll be out on Friday, and I'll see you then. Bye, friends.